Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are attempting something that, well, that a lot of people believe is basically impossible.
And what might that be?
Going home again. You know the saying, right? You can't go home again.
Thomas Wolfe. Yeah, it's a classic literary idea. The whole concept is that the place you left, it's changed.
And you've changed.
And you've changed. So the home that you have in your memory, it's not a real place anymore. It basically ceases to exist the second you leave. It's a ghost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what happens if you actually try? I mean, not after a year or two away, but after, say, 2 decades. 2 decades living in a completely different culture.
Well, that's the experiment, isn't it? And it's right at the heart of our source material today. We are unpacking Bill Bryson's fantastic collection of essays, I'm a Stranger Here Myself.
This one is so much fun. I mean, on the surface, it's just a collection of these really funny weekly columns he wrote.
Right, for a British audience, all about his move back to the United States in the mid-90s.
And you have to remember the context. He'd been living in England for 20 years.
A long time.
A very long time. Raising his kids there, drinking tea. He'd become, thoroughly anglicized. And then he decides to uproot the whole family and move to Hanover, New Hampshire.
Right. But like you said, that's just the surface. Underneath all the jokes, it's this really fascinating sociological study of America.
Yeah, through the eyes of someone who looks like a local. He talks like a local, but he thinks like a foreigner.
And that's the core theme we're really going to explore today. This idea of reverse culture shock. Bryson himself describes his return as being like waking from a long coma.
I love that analogy. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
Because it's not that he doesn't speak the language. I mean, technically he does.
Of course.
It's that the operating system of the country has been updated while he was asleep, and he didn't get the patch notes.
That's a great way to put it.
He's walking around with, version 1.0 software in a version 5.0 world.
Precisely. And the disorientation, it starts with the most mundane, everyday things. He talks about the embarrassment of small transactions.
Oh, this one hit home for me. You know that feeling when you're traveling and you don't quite get the currency?
Yes.
You're standing there fumbling with coins, and you can just feel the line growing behind you.
It's the worst. But imagine feeling that in your own hometown. That's what he's going through. He talks about struggling with ATMs, which had become, everywhere while he was gone, and just a little more complex.
But the big one was the gas pump.
The automated gas pump. You have to remember, this was the mid-90s. Pay at the pump was this new, confusing kind of magic.
Right. In England, and in the America he left behind, it was simple. You pump the gas, then you walk inside and pay a person.
A simple social transaction, a human interaction.
But he gets to New Hampshire, and this machine is asking him questions. It wants a card. It wants a zip code.
It's beeping at him.
It's beeping. And he's just standing there, an American citizen, completely baffled by how to acquire fuel for his car.
And then when he finally figures it out, he goes inside to get a road map, only to find out that road maps aren't free anymore.
Another little certainty, just gone.
It's the death of 1,000 cuts. All these little cultural assumptions you have are just pulled out from under you. But the moment that really, truly captures this stranger in a strange land feeling is his trip to the hardware store.
The hardware store encounter. Oh, this is a classic. It's such a masculine archetype, right? The man goes to the hardware store to fix the house.
It's a rite of passage. So Bryson goes in, he needs to do some home repairs, and you have to picture the scene. He's an American male, standing in an American hardware store, wearing American clothes.
He looks the part perfectly.
He blends right in, and then he opens his mouth and realizes he doesn't know the words for anything.
Because for 20 years, he's been learning the British terms for everything.
So he walks up to the clerk, this poor, unsuspecting clerk, and asks for polyphila and raw plugs.
Which to an American ear sounds like absolute nonsense, or maybe a new kind of pasta.
The clerk just stares at him. That blank, what planet are you from? Stare. And eventually, after some really awkward back and forth in describing what the things do.
Right, like the white paste you put in holes in the wall.
Exactly. They finally figure out he means spackle and anchors.
Of course, spackle. Everyone knows that.
But Bryson makes this brilliant point about that whole interaction. He says he could hardly have felt more foreign if he had stood there dressed in lederhosen.
That's such a hilarious image.
But it's profound, isn't it? Because if you were wearing lederhosen, you'd expect to be treated like a foreigner. You're prepared for it.
You're braced for the confusion.
Exactly. But when you're wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and you look just like everyone else, the feeling of incompetence is so much deeper. It's so much more jarring.
It really does set the stage for the entire book.
Yeah.
He has this sudden realization that while he was gone, America just kept moving.
Yeah.
It got more convenient, more obsessed with safety, more bureaucratic.
And definitely more enthusiastic about consumption.
And I think that's where we have to start our analysis. Because if there is one thing that just smacks Bryson in the face the second he gets back, it is the sheer, overwhelming scale of the American consumer beast.
Let's unpack that, because he has this hilarious epiphany in the supermarket.
He calls it the junk food epiphany.
Yes. So, you have to picture the scene. He's at the grocery store with his British wife. She's doing what, reasonable, health-conscious adults do.
She's looking for broccoli. She's pricing shiitake mushrooms. She's being a responsible human being.
Now, where is Bill Bryson?
He says he headed straight for aisle 7, food for the seriously obese.
Aisle 7, that's where the magic happens. And it's there he finds a product that becomes his absolute symbol for American excess.
The breakfast pizza.
Now, let's just pause on that for a second.
Oh.
Breakfast pizza, the very concept is just so delightfully aggressive. It challenges the very definition of meals.
It really is. It's like the food industry said, why choose between dinner and breakfast when you can just have a heart attack immediately?
And Bryson describes this deep nostalgia he has for American greasiness and goo. You have to remember, he's been eating sensible British food for 20 years.
Right. Meat pies, boiled veggies, that sort of thing.
And he wants cheese in a spray can. He wants food that squirts when you bite it. He is craving the artificial.
He wants the chemicals.
He wants the chemicals, the dyes, the unpronounceable ingredients, so he buys this breakfast pizza. And the box probably looks amazing, right?
Oh, for sure. Steaming cheese, perfectly brown sausage, maybe a sprig of parsley that's definitely not inside.
But the reality...
You didn't live up to the memory.
I'm not even close.
Yeah.
I think his exact description was that it had a limp, chewy listlessness.
Limp, chewy listlessness.
Oh.
That is such a visceral, perfect description of bad frozen food. I can taste it right now.
And he tried everything to save it. He microwaved it. He baked it. He even, and this is a detail that shows just how desperate he was, he put marshmallow fluff on it at one point.
No. Marshmallow fluff
Oh!
on a sausage pizza.
Oh, yeah. He went all in. He was trying to recreate a feeling, not just a flavor, but it's not just the quality of the junk food that gets him. It's the sheer variety. He talks about the cereal aisle.
The cereal aisle is often a point of shock for foreigners. I've heard this from so many people visiting the U.S. for the first time. It's just a wall of sugar.
It's a monument to glucose. And he starts listing them off. There's Cookie Crisp, which he points out is literally just chocolate chip cookies in a bowl.
It's not even pretending to be breakfast at that point.
It is dessert with milk. That is all it is.
Then there's Count Chocula. And my personal favorite that he mentions, Cookie Blast Oatmeal, which apparently contained 4 distinct kinds of cookies.
4 kinds of cookies in oatmeal. Because, oatmeal by itself is just too healthy, apparently. We have to find a way to contaminate it with cookies.
It's interesting because he's framing all this as a humorous observation, but he's really highlighting a very real shift in American food culture toward these hyper-palatable, ultra-processed convenience foods. He even talks about toaster pastries.
Your toaster strudels?
Yes. He finds 8 different types of toaster strudel.
Who needs 8 types? How many ways can you put goo inside a rectangle of dough?
Well, the American consumer, apparently. Maybe you're in a raspberry mood today, but tomorrow it's a cinnamon mood. The market must provide for every possible whim.
But there's a really funny resolution to this whole junk food binge. His wife, seeing this shopping cart full of root beer buttons and fudge devil dogs.
She basically stages an intervention.
She does. She lays down the law. She tells him, you bought it, you eat it.
Every last bite.
Every bit of it. He's not allowed to throw it away. He has to consume the entire symphony of awful, as he calls it, before he's allowed to go back to eating granola.
That's a punishment worse than death. And he eventually just crawls back to his Swedish crisp bread, completely defeated.
Oh, yeah,
That's a great little story about the dangers of nostalgia.
It really is. You remember the fun of the junk food, but your adult body remembers the indigestion.
But the consumerism, it's not just limited to food, right? It's the stuff. The sheer amount of stuff you can buy and how it's sold to you.
The catalogs.
The catalogs.
Oh, the catalogs. Now, for our younger listeners, you have to understand, this is pre-internet spam. This is physical mail clogging up your letterbox every single day.
A stack of glossy booklets selling you things you never, ever knew existed.
And Bryson finds these catalogs fascinating because they represent this uniquely American talent for inventing solutions to problems that simply do not exist.
The briefcase valet is the prime example here. I love this item so much.
Ah, yes, the briefcase valet. Tell us about it.
Okay, so for the low, low price of $139, and remember this is mid-90s money, so that's a serious investment, you get this little wheeled trolley.
Right.
It sits 4 inches off the floor.
4 inches.
And the catalog copy, this is the absolute genius of it, says it's designed to save you from reaching down those last 4 inches.
As if that is the great physical struggle of the modern executive. We can handle lifting the briefcase from the floor to, say, shin level, but that last 4 inches, that's the real killer.
Oh, my back. If only my briefcase were 4 inches higher off the ground. It's insane.
It creates a need where there was absolutely no need before. It flatters the consumer into thinking their comfort is so paramount that even a 4-inch reach is an unacceptable burden. It's absurd, but it sells.
He also mentions a portarotolo di carta.
Which sounds very fancy, like an Italian luxury good, maybe a leather wallet or something.
It's a paper towel holder.
Of course it is.
But it's described like it's a Ferrari. It has a spring tension arm and a crafted brass finial. It costs $49.95 for a stick to hold your paper towels.
And this all connects to a broader observation Bryson makes about shopping as a form of recreation. It's not just about getting what you need.
Right. In the UK, at least back then, shops closed at 5 p.m. Sundays were dead.
But in America, shopping is a sport. He visits the LL Bean flagship store in Freeport, Maine.
Which is open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Right. And he just marvels at the fact that you can buy a kayak at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Who needs a kayak at 3 a.m.?
No one needs a kayak at 3 a.m. That is the entire point. But the fact that you can buy it, that's the message. It speaks to this culture of instant gratification and boundless availability.
It's the idea that if I wake up in a cold sweat at 2:45 a.m. and decide my life is utterly meaningless without a canoe.
America says, we got you covered. Come on down.
It's that if I want it, I should have it right now mentality, which actually segues perfectly into another American obsession that Bryson notices.
The cup holder.
The cup holder revolution. This is one of my favorite parts of his analysis because it's so specific, but it explains so much about the country.
He starts with a story that he swears is true. A user calls a tech support line complaining that their cup holder broke.
And it turns out they'd been using the CD-ROM drive tray.
Which really dates the story to that beige box computer era, but the sentiment is timeless. Americans expect a place to put their beverage. Always. Even on a computer.
And Bryson cites a New York Times article that was actually rating family cars, and number of cup holders was a key metric.
Right up there with engine performance and safety features.
He mentions the Dodge Caravan having 17 cup holders. 17 for a 7-passenger vehicle.
That's 2.43 cup holders per person.
Why do you need 2.43 drinks at once?
Well, Bryson jokes about this. Maybe you have your Slurpee and your coffee and, I don't know, a backup Slurpee. Maybe a spittoon.
But he connects this to something much deeper than just thirst. It's about where Americans live. They live inside their cars. He finds a stat that says 94% of trips involve a car, even if it's just moving between 2 parking lots on the same street.
Oh, the drive to the gym to walk on the treadmill phenomenon.
Exactly. And because we spend so much of our lives in these metal boxes, we need to be mobile living rooms. We need to be hydrated, entertained, and comfortable at all times.
And the rest of the world just hadn't caught up yet. He tells that great story about Volvo.
The Swedish engineers.
Right. The poor Swedish engineers at Volvo were focusing on, trivial things like safety cages and crumple zones and engine reliability.
The boring stuff.
And they were losing market share in the U.S. because they didn't have enough cup holders.
You can just imagine the board meetings in Sweden.
Bryson has this great joke about Nilsson and Lars Larson having to go back to the drawing board to figure out where to put the Slurpee tray. They must have thought Americans were completely insane. Why are they drinking so much? Are they all dehydrated?
It just highlights this massive difference in priorities. In Europe, a car is a machine for driving from A to B. In America, it's a mobile habitat where you hydrate constantly.
But this obsession with comfort and convenience, it has a flip side. And that's what Bryson starts to explore in the next major theme of the book.
Health, safety, and the illusion of control.
This is where things get a little bit darker, but also, in a way, funnier.
Yeah.
Let's start with the drug culture. And I don't mean illicit drugs.
The pharmaceutical industry.
Bryson compares American TV ads to what he was used to in Britain. In the UK, late-night TV might have a boring lecture on the Open University, some guy with a bad haircut and a brown suit talking about physics. In the US, you have commercials for prescription drugs.
Direct-to-consumer advertising.
Hmm.
And this is shocking to him. He talks about seeing ads for yeast infections, for hemorrhoid creams, things that are generally kept private.
But it's the promise of the ads that really strikes him. He says that British ads, they sort of promise that if you take this pill, you might feel a bit better.
You'll still be in your pajamas, sniffing, looking miserable, but maybe you'll manage a weak smile by the end of the commercial.
Whereas the American ad promises a full-on resurrection.
Total restoration. He describes a commercial where a guy uses a hemorrhoid cream and is suddenly at a bowling alley, having the absolute time of his life.
And the detail that just killed me, the guy in the commercial is carrying the hemorrhoid cream in his shirt pocket.
At the bowling alley.
At the bowling alley. Like, hey guys, just in case my hemorrhoids flare up during the 10th frame, don't worry, I'm locked and loaded.
It reflects this belief that we should be performing at 100% capacity at all times. There's no room for just being sick or under the weather. We have to fix it immediately and get back to the bowling alley. We optimize our bodies like we optimize our schedules.
But here's the paradox. While we are obsessed with these minor ailments, Bryson points out that we are strangely deeply irrational about actual serious risks.
He references a text called The Book of Risks by a guy named Larry Lawton.
And this section was really eye-opening. We obsess over cholesterol and sodium, we're squinting at the labels on a cracker box, but we completely ignore massive, immediate, lethal risks.
The gun statistics are the most glaring contrast he brings up. He notes that at the time, 40% of households had guns. And he found a statistic that a gun in the home is 20 times more likely to shoot a family member than an intruder.
And yet, people buy them for safety.
It's a total paradox. We fear the random, statistically rare event of a home invasion, but we invite a very real statistical risk right into the bedside drawer.
He also mentions seatbelts. At the time he was writing, he says 40% of people still weren't wearing them.
And people were disconnecting their airbags.
Yes. Because of a handful of freak accidents, people were rushing to disable a device that was proven to save thousands and thousands of lives. It's this complete inability to weigh statistical probability against emotional fear.
He even finds the weird ways to die statistics.
Oh, the New Hampshire-specific risks. He's living in one of the safest states in the country, almost no murders, which sounds great. But then he looks at the actual data.
And the risk of hitting a moose is sky high.
And the risk of injuring oneself with underpants.
Excuse me, I think I missed the mechanics of that particular one.
According to the statistical abstract he found, something like 142,000 people a year are injured by their own clothing.
How do you get injured by your underpants? Is it the elastic snapping?
Bryson speculates it might be sweatpants hematoma, but it remains a mystery. The point is, the things we actually worry about, terrorists, criminals, are often not the things that get us. The things that get us are ceilings, beds, and moose.
And speaking of terrorists, this leads perfectly into his run-in with what he calls security theater.
The airport ID check.
This scene is so relatable to anyone who has flown in the last 20 years, though it was even a bit looser back then. He gets to the airport, he realizes his driver's license is expired, and the agent demands a photo ID.
And Bryson, being a writer, doesn't have a company ID badge or anything. He works from home, he's digging through his wallet, finds nothing. So he has this stroke of genius. He pulls out one of his own books.
Which has his picture on the back jacket.
It's the ultimate form of ID. It's literally a picture of him with his name printed underneath it. This is me. I wrote this book.
And the agent rejects it.
Because it's not on the list of permissible visual cognitive imagings or whatever the ridiculous bureaucratic term was.
Bryson tries to argue with logic. He asks her, "Do you seriously think I went to the trouble of having a book published just to sneak onto a flight to Buffalo?"
But bureaucracy doesn't run on logic. It runs on rules. And this is a recurring theme for Bryson. The rules are enforced, whether they make any sense or not.
He has that great line he tries to drop on the agent, trying to sound wise. He says, "There is always a little more toothpaste in the tube."
Which just completely confuses her. But it sums up his frustration perfectly. He's trying to find the wiggle room, the common sense, and the system just says, computer says no.
But, and here's the big twist in all this, while the bureaucracy can be absolutely maddening, the bureaucrats themselves are often confusingly friendly.
This is a great transition. Let's call this our next segment, the friendly bureaucrat.
He calls the Social Security Office. Now, in most countries, calling a government agency is like a descent into hell. You expect hostility or, at the very least, total indifference.
Bryson calls. He's steeling himself for the runaround. And the guy who answers immediately calls him Bill.
Excuse me, Bill, I have to put you on hold for a moment. Not Mr. Bryson. Bill.
And Bryson is completely torn. Part of him is the stiff upper lip Brit he's become, and he's thinking, I'm not looking for a relationship here, mate. I just want to form. But the other part of him is charmed.
It's that American egalitarianism. There's no tugging of forelocks. The garbage collector calls you Bill, the doctor calls you Bill, the guy at the Social Security office calls you Bill.
But there's a limit to this friendship. The friendly agent refuses to give him his wife's Social Security number, citing privacy rules.
Even though he just called him Bill.
Yeah.
So Bryson, in his desperation, tries to impersonate his wife.
Badly.
Oh, very badly. He puts on this high-pitched falsetto voice, and the agent sees right through it, of course, because he has all the data right there on his screen.
But then, the absolute kicker. The agent won't break the federal rule, but he does offer Bryson a helpful household tip.
Baking soda for strawberry pop stains on the carpet.
Only in America. I can't violate federal privacy laws for you, Bill, but hey, here's how to do your laundry.
It's a perfect encapsulation of the American service paradox. Incredibly friendly, genuinely helpful on a personal level, but absolutely bound by these rigid, sometimes nonsensical procedures.
And we see the exact same thing with the post office. He loves the American post office.
Well, compared to the British one, yeah. He talks about going in on Customer Appreciation Day.
Free donuts. He says he completely sold his soul to the U.S. Postal Service for a chocolate twirl donut.
But then he goes home and finds a return letter in his mailbox.
Right. He'd sent a letter to a friend in Berkeley. He addressed it to Black Oak Books, which is a very famous bookstore there, but he didn't have the exact street number.
And the U.S. Postal Service, despite its free donuts, returned it. Insufficient address.
After 41 days.
And Bryson contrasts this with the Royal Mail back in England. He once received a letter in England addressed simply to Bill Bryson, writer, Yorkshire Dales.
No street, no town name, really. Just a region. And it arrived in 2 days.
So the American system will give you a donut and a smile, but it won't do the detective work. The British system is grumpy, and the building is probably damp, but they'll find you in a haystack.
It's efficiency versus effectiveness. The U.S. system is streamlined. It's stamps only. You don't do pensions or car licenses at the counter. But it lacks that human willingness to go the extra mile, to do the sleuthing.
And this brings us to the broader have a nice day culture.
Bryson is very skeptical of it at first. He wonders what the actual value is of having your groceries bagged by a teenager.
His wife loves it, though.
Yeah.
She loves the free ice water at the bank, the free matchbooks. But Bryson keeps wondering if the have a nice day is genuine.
But then he has to admit that underneath the corporate slogan, there is often real, genuine kindness. He tells the story of moving into their house in Hanover, and the neighbors just started showing up.
With food. With
Oh, yeah.
furniture. Just helping.
And the guy at the basketball game.
That story was amazing. So Bryson is waiting in the ticket line. A total stranger walks up to him and just gives him 2 tickets.
For free. Just because he and his wife couldn't use them and he didn't want them to go to waste.
Bryson is immediately suspicious. He's looking for the scam. He's waiting for the other shoe to drop. But there is no scam. It's just spontaneous generosity.
And he links this to the incredibly low crime rate in Hanover. He says people leave their houses and their cars unlocked.
Which, coming from any big city or even parts of the UK, is just mind-boggling. And he has this great theory about it. He calls it the no market for stolen goods theory.
Right. If you steal a car stereo in a small New England town, who are you going to sell it to? Your neighbor. Everyone already has one.
And the police, he jokes, have nothing better to do than to find you and shoot you. But really, it paints this picture of a high-trust society that Bryson finds deeply, deeply charming, despite his initial cynicism.
So we have this country of friendly people, but it's also governed by these massive, baffling systems, which is a good place to pivot to our next section.
Inefficiency in the numbers game.
This is where Bryson puts on his amateur economist hat, and he takes on the GDP, the gross domestic product.
He calls it the GDP fallacy.
And it's a brilliant critique. We're all taught to use GDP as the primary measure of the health of the economy, but Bryson points out that GDP just measures activity, not quality of life.
He uses the O.J. Simpson trial as his prime example.
It's a dark example, but a very effective one. That trial added roughly $200 million to the U.S. economy.
All the lawyers' fees, the hotel rooms for the media, the food, the security, all of that is growth in GDP terms.
But did it make the country a better place? Obviously not.
He also uses the example of a polluting zinc factory. The factory sells zinc, GDP goes up. The factory pollutes the local mountain, so money is spent to clean it up. GDP goes up again. The factory workers get sick from the pollution, so money is spent on their healthcare. GDP goes up a third time.
He has this devastating quote. He says, "The economy is like a terminal cancer patient going through a costly divorce."
Wow, that's a brutal image. Because on paper, there's a ton of economic activity, but the patient is dying.
And he also touches on general government incompetence, especially with numbers and records. He brings up the Pentagon losing the logs from the Gulf War.
That was a huge scandal in the 90s. Bryson just cheekily attributes it to cleaning ladies or bad computer games.
And the FBI. He goes on a bit of a rant about the FBI's failures around that time. The Richard Jewell case, the Unabomber.
It fits perfectly with his theme of the illusion of control. We have these massive, terrifying agencies like the FBI and the Pentagon. We assume they're all-knowing and all-powerful.
But in reality, they're losing critical files, they're chasing the wrong guys, and they're getting outsmarted by a guy living in a cabin in Montana.
And speaking of things we can't really comprehend, Bryson tries to visualize big numbers, specifically $1 trillion.
This is a classic Bill Bryson mental exercise. We hear the word trillion on the news and we just think, oh, okay, that's a lot. But our brains don't actually grasp the scale.
So he imagines counting it. $1 bill per second.
$1 every second, day and night, no breaks.
How long to get to 1 trillion?
31,709 years.
That just stops you in your tracks. Over 31,000 years before the last ice age ended.
It really highlights how abstract and inhuman our economic and political systems have become. We're governed by numbers that the human brain literally cannot process.
Okay, let's bring it back down to a scale we can process. Let's talk about the house. Segment 5, domestic life and design flaws.
The great indoors. Bryson becomes fascinated by the classic American basement.
The Mr. Fluffy zone.
Yes. He points out that the American basement is this uniquely spacious, often unnecessary area, and it always has a certain smell.
Old magazines and Mr. Floofy, the guinea pig that was lost down there in 1978.
And he says every American dad has this grand dream of turning the basement into a rec room, you know, with a pool table and a wet bar.
But in reality, it just stays the scary place where the furnace lives. It's the set of a horror movie that's perpetually waiting to be filmed.
But upstairs, in the civilized part of the house, there are some appliances that brought him pure, unadulterated joy. The garbage disposal.
He is obsessed with the garbage disposal.
He calls the sound it makes with coffee grounds the Vesuvius effect.
He treats it like a toy. He's just constantly trying to see what it can handle. Can it eat a chicken bone? What about a corn cob?
It's the id of the American kitchen. It's this primal urge. I don't want to compost this. I want to annihilate it with a spinning blade.
And the fireplace ash pit. The little trap door in the floor of the fireplace where you sweep the ashes and they just disappear.
He says it seems literally bottomless. It's like a portal to another dimension. It's magic.
But for every design triumph like that, there's a design failure that drives him crazy.
The any key.
Oh, the computer struggles. We have to remember, this is the 90s. Computers were not friendly. He talks about the old instruction, press any key, and people calling tech support asking where the any key is located on the keyboard.
But his specific personal gripe is with the keyboard layout. 102 keys. You've got keys for brackets, keys for squiggly lines nobody uses, but there is no key for the fraction 12.
This drives him insane. He has to go into a menu, find typographic symbols, scroll through hundreds of them, just for a simple half.
It's a really valid complaint.
Yeah.
Why do we have a scroll lock key that does nothing, but not a simple fraction key?
And the car dashboard tray.
The one that holds nothing.
It's that shallow little indentation on top of the dashboard. You put your sunglasses there, you make a gentle right turn, and they go flying across the car.
He speculates it was designed by a special committee in the dashboard stowage division specifically to taunt drivers.
But the ultimate trauma, the absolute peak of domestic horror for him, is the barbershop visit.
The Wayne Newton.
This story had me in tears.
Yeah.
So Bryson goes to get a haircut. He hates getting his hair cut. He feels incredibly vulnerable sitting there without his glasses on.
And he gets the barber he always dreads, the guy he privately calls Thumbs.
Thumbs. Never a good name for someone who is about to hold sharp scissors near your head. And Bryson asks for something simple. A simple tidy-up. He specifically says he wants to look like a banker or an accountant. Anonymous.
And the barber hears Wayne Newton.
The full Las Vegas lounge singer look. The barber just starts buzzing away. And Bryson's sitting there totally blind without his glasses, just filled with terror.
The barber leans in and asks, So did we decide on a Paul Anka or a Wayne Newton?
Bryson is like neither. We decided on neither of those.
But it's too late. Thumbs admit she's accidentally done the left side in a Paul Anka style and the right side in a Wayne Newton.
They have to call in a consultation from the other barbers in the shop. They start suggesting ways to fix it, maybe convert it into a modified Barney Rubble.
Or a Hercule Poirot.
When he finally gets to put his glasses on and look in the mirror, he says he looks like a lemon meringue pie with ears.
And his wife's reaction when he gets home is the best part. She just looks at him and says, "Get the big hat."
That's a hilarious story, but does it say something bigger about American service?
I think it does. I think it touches on this aggressive confidence of American service providers. The barber knew what Bryson needed better than Bryson himself did. Trust me, you want the Wayne Newton, all the guys on the bowling team are getting it. It's that same kind of momentum we saw with the junk food and the shopping. More is better, bigger is better, Wayne Newton is better.
That brings us to our final segment, where we leave the house and we start to look at the bigger picture. Let's call it the American landscape.
Bryson has this deep, deep affection for the American landscape, both the built environment and the natural one, but he notices everywhere that the past is
He
vanishing.
talks about baseball stadiums.
He's a real purist. He loves the old smelly stadiums, Fenway Park in Boston, Wrigley Field in Chicago.
He says they should smell a little funny. The floor should be sticky. That's part of the experience.
And he mourns the new sanitary stadiums that were
Yeah.
being built. They're clean, but they lack history. He has a great line. He says, "No matter how scrupulous a new Fenway they build, it won't make your feet stick."
And he talks about the heartwarming annual failure of the Chicago Cubs.
Which is really poignant because, of course, long after this book was written, the Cubs actually did win the World Series. But at the time, their consistency in losing was a comfort to him. It was a constant in a rapidly changing world.
He also laments the change in motels.
He gives us a great little history lesson here. The word motel,
Motor hotel.
right, originally hyphenated, and he loves those old 1950s family-owned cottage courts.
The ones with the white rocks spelling out the name and the little swing set out front.
But they've all been replaced by the chains, the Comfort Inns, the Holiday Inn Expresses.
He tells this story of trying to force his family to stay in a real motel called the Sleepy Hollow.
And it's a complete disaster. It's cold, the shower curtain is missing most of its rings. His very sensible British wife refuses to stay.
So they end up going across the street to the Comfort Inn.
Yeah.
And he has to admit, it's better.
It's clean. The TV works. The towels aren't threadbare. It's the triumph of the franchise model. It's soulless, but it's reliable. And that is the great American trade-off.
But here's the interesting part. While the built world is becoming homogenized and predictable, the natural world is actually becoming wilder. This is a surprise to me.
The reclaiming wilderness.
He talks about the New Hampshire woods that surround his home.
He points out that New Hampshire is 85% forest now, but back in 1874 it was mostly open farmland.
The forest has come back. He describes walking through the woods and finding these old stone walls and cellar holes from forgotten farms, just swallowed by the trees.
It's this powerful reminder that civilization is fragile here. The trees are just waiting to take it all back.
And the woods are dangerous. He tells the true story of the Lear jet that vanished in 1996.
It's a haunting story. A massive private jet, 2 people on board, it just disappears on its final approach to the local airport.
And despite satellites, huge search parties, high-tech sensors, they find nothing.
The woods just swallowed it. He mentions other plane crashes from the 50s and 60s where the wreckage wasn't found for years, sometimes decades.
He even goes looking for a lost village called Quintown.
An abandoned logging village. And he can't find it. The maps are vague, the landmarks are gone, it's been erased. It emphasizes the vastness and the total indifference of the American continent. We build our comfort inns and our strip malls, but just beyond the edge of the parking lot, there is a deep, dark wilderness that can make a Learjet vanish without a trace.
So, after all of this, what does it all mean? We've covered junk food, safety accessions, friendly bureaucrats, incomprehensible numbers, and the wild woods.
If we synthesize all of Bryson's observations, what we get is a portrait of a country that is fundamentally a land of extremes and contradictions.
It's that stranger persona he adopts. Bryson is completely baffled by the rules, like the airport ID check, but he's utterly charmed by the friendliness.
He's appalled by the excess, the breakfast pizza, but he absolutely loves the convenience of the garbage disposal.
It's the final paradox. America's a place where the government will give you a free donut, but they can't be bothered to find your poorly addressed letter.
It's a place where we obsess over the cholesterol in our eggs, but then drive without seatbelts while owning multiple firearms.
It's a place of terrifying, real risks. Moose, falling ceilings, underpants, and obsessive, often irrational safety measures.
And Bryson kind of ends on a provocative thought about all this anxiety. He mentions a study he read about a gene for worrying.
A serotonin transporter gene.
Right, and he wonders, is this American obsession with rules and safety and control something genetic? But then he proposes another idea. Maybe, just maybe, it's a reaction to the environment itself.
The sheer vastness of it all.
Exactly. When you live in a country this big, with weather this violent, with woods this deep, and with an economy this incomprehensible, maybe you invent rules and cup holders and endless insurance policies just to feel like you have some small measure of control over the chaos.
We had built a fortress of comfort and convenience to hold back the wilderness.
And we fill that fortress with 8 different kinds of toaster strudel.
So, here is our challenge to you, the listener. The next time you walk into a supermarket, or the next time you sit in your car, try to look at it with Bryson's eyes.
Count the cup holders. Look at the wall of cereal options. Ask yourself, is this normal? Or have I just been in a coma for the last 20 years?
And if you find a breakfast pizza, for the love of God, don't eat it.
Just stick to the broccoli.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.